I'm just chilling, man. Just vibe. You know I had to pull up on y'all though.
Yeah, yeah. What's been going on with you like day to day? You know what I'm saying? You obviously always spending a lot of time in the studio. It seems like you've been.
The hip-hop world and beyond have been rocked by Chicago rapper Lil Durk's latest attempt to get out of jail. Durk is no stranger to controversy, as seen by his gritty songs, street stories, and close links to the OTF, Only the Family group. However, his latest acts have escalated the situation to the point that everyone is wondering, what was he thinking? Did he have a deeper reason for his bold escape scheme, or was he just anxious for freedom? Since the video of his jail release went viral, both fans and detractors have been examining every second of it, breaking down the rapper's every action. Durk's escape attempt is not a typical scenario. The boundaries between reality and fiction are blurred in what reads like a high-stakes thriller. The rapper seemed to have planned a daring, high-risk scheme that had all the elements of a Hollywood robbery in a determined, last-ditch attempt to avoid impending federal indictments. This is even more astounding, however, since it was all captured on video, providing the world with a close-up view of what may turn out to be one of the most outrageous jail escape attempts ever. The rapper, who is well known for his scathing lyrics and connections to some of Chicago's most notorious people, reportedly used a complex web of distractions and diversions to outsmart the federal authorities. After 5 of Durk's friends were arrested, all connected to his OTF label, Durk was facing severe allegations relating to a murder-for-hire plan. The investigation had been developing for a while, and Durk allegedly started acting in ways to confuse federal investigators and evade their grip as the wall seemed to close in on him. According to sources familiar with the inquiry, the rapper deliberately employed a multifaceted tactic to confuse the investigators. Durk booked 3 overseas flights, not just one, with the goal of utilizing them as a ruse to trick federal officials. The flights in issue were scheduled to Dubai and Switzerland, which are both very far from the United States and seem to be the perfect places to go on vacation. Durk had no intention of boarding the aircraft right once, thus the scheme was more complicated than it first seemed. Rather, the idea was to give the FBI the impression that he was trying to escape the country, giving the appearance of desperation while concealing his actual motivations, though they were not only a ruse. The first 2 one-way commercial flights, one to Dubai and the other to Switzerland, were never boarded. The purpose of these tickets was to intentionally confuse and mislead the authorities. Durk intended to make the FBI work hard by scheduling many overseas trips and pursuing fictitious leads while he developed his real escape strategy. The rapper misjudged the persistence of federal investigators in an attempt to take advantage of the FBI's need to prioritize tracking down his whereabouts. Court records have provided insight into the FBI's investigation and the rapper's blatant effort to elude the authorities. As the tale develops, as it happens, Durk...
What's the difference between Atlanta and Chicago to you?
The main difference is y'all got a family vibe here. Everybody love each other. Like, everybody got different.
Given the seriousness of the accusations against him and the possibility of spending a large amount of his life in prison, some fans speculate that the rapper may have acted out of fear. Others think it may have been a symbolic act of rebellion against the establishment that has long attempted to discredit people like him. The escape attempt, for whatever reason, was a brave and audacious effort that enthralled everyone who heard about it. The attention of the federal authorities, but the rapper never had a chance to carry out his plan since the FBI was already on him and responded quickly to his actions. Ultimately, Durk's escape attempt was thwarted by the FBI's prompt steps and increased monitoring. He was never able to get off the ground, so to speak, since authorities could follow his every step. However, the rapper's effort to flee garnered headlines and generated intense internet discussion despite the failure of his plan. Both supporters and detractors have been commenting on the action. Many have questioned Durk's mental health and if he was really attempting to flee or whether he was just pushing himself. Was Durk desperate enough to try to flee? Was he attempting to buy himself more time, or did he think he could outwit the FBI? Fans are examining every aspect of the effort, which is not surprising given how extensively the incident's video has been circulated. While some believe Durk's escape was an act of desperation, others believe it was a well-planned move meant to make a point. The stakes have never been greater, and critics have already begun to label it one of the most outrageous actions ever done by a rapper in modern times. The case is made much more intriguing by the rapper's affiliation with the OTF team and his prominence in the Chicago rap scene. Even while this may have seemed to be a careless choice, others contend that it was really a premeditated action taken knowing that failure was unavoidable, possibly as a means of creating anticipation, attracting attention, or adding another dimension to his extravagant character. Regardless of Durk's reasons, one thing is certain: this tale will be remembered as one of the most audacious escape attempts in recent history. The rapper's antics have left the globe enthralled and wondering exactly how far he's prepared to go to escape his past, whether it's a daring effort to test the boundaries of his renown, a desperate plea for freedom, or an intricate distraction too. confound federal investigators. Although the consequences of this jail escape are still being felt, it is obvious that Lil Durk has solidified his legacy in rap history, not just for his songs, but also for a narrative that was definitely one for the record books. A private jet was supposed to transport him to Italy. But an hour before the plane was supposed to depart from Miami's Opaka Executive Airport, FBI agents closed in and arrested him. This was the third and most ambitious move orchestrated by the rapper. It wasn't simple to escape. According to those familiar with the case, Durk's team meticulously organized the plan in the hopes that the combination of private and commercial planes would evade federal inspection, but the FBI had sophisticated monitoring tools, and the flying attempts weren't fooling jurisdictional cooperation. That August 20,122, when OTF discovered that Quando was staying at a hotel in Los Angeles, Durk placed a bounty on him, promising money and opportunities in the music industry to anyone who took him out. Bank records revealed that flights were booked for 5 co-conspirators to travel from Chicago to California using money from OTF's accounts, and Durk allegedly warned his associate not to book any flights under any names connected to me when making those reservations. Prosecutors said Durk wasn't simply lounging about. Prosecutors claim that Durk is now a flight risk, which strengthens the case against it already. The audacity of Durk's purported escape attempt has both fans and critics talking. For some, it shows how under pressure he must have been knowing the charges against him, while for others it's viewed as a desperate move that could harm rather than help his case. In any case, it shows a man who is prepared to go to extraordinary lengths. Efforts to evade what the courtroom has in store for him. Durk's empire has suffered greatly, and his demise was caused by more than simply misfortune or loose lips. In order to piece together what happened on that fatal night in August 2022, the FBI had been following him for some time. The story begins with a hit that was straight out of a movie at just 32. The feds were playing a long game, watching his every move and listening to conversations he believed were private. Durk's music created an empire. However, the accusations against him are too serious to overlook. In connection with a violent crime, Durk is charged with conspiracy to utilize interstate facilities to commit murder for pay and to carry weaponry, including a machine gun. According to the Justice Department, he is not alone in this. Prosecutors said that 5 other OTF affiliates, including CZ Grant and DeAndre Dantrell Wilson, were also mentioned in the indictment. They are suspected of executing a plot to hunt down Quando in Los Angeles. Traveled with Grant on a private plane to Los Angeles. Once Ally arrived, Grant allegedly used a credit card connected to Durk to pay for the crew's accommodation and purchase ski masks. This wasn't simply a spur-of-the-moment feud, it was a well-planned operation. The next day, August 19th, the squad reportedly followed Quando and his family throughout the city in 2 rental vehicles. Prosecutors claim that when the target finally stopped at a gas station on Beverly Boulevard, that's when things went fatal. Leaped out in the open flames behind the station, Quando and his sister were unharmed by the 18 rounds that were sprayed, but his cousin Sava Robinson, 24, was not so fortunate and died in the ambush. According to FBI evidence, Durk was behind the scenes ordering the hit and financing the operation with OTF's bankroll. The money trail was there, and Durk made sure to cover the one-way flights that were booked for 5 co-conspirators from Chicago to California, all of which were allegedly paid for with OTF funds. When Durk himself flew to California on a private jet that same day with OT's KZ Grant, the FBI wasn't far behind. Grant allegedly purchased ski masks for the shooters and paid for their hotel rooms using a credit card in Durk's name. His tracks reportedly told his associate not to book any flights under names connected to him, but even with the precautions, the feds were one step ahead. They weren't just watching, though, they were listening to wiretaps that captured conversations, including Durk's instructions to his crew. While Durk may have thought he could make movements undetected, the FBI had a different plan in mind. The whole situation demonstrates how deeply the feds were involved in Durk's operation, even though Durk literally paid Jam $50,000 as soon as he was released from jail. The feds got to him first, so even though the incident has been turned into a series of memes on social media, the implications for Durk are still anything but amusing. They were constructing a case piece by piece as all of this was happening, from the money trail to the wire. I can do anything I want to do. The whole operation was being followed from beginning to end. The hit occurred in broad daylight in one of LA's busiest districts, causing mayhem that placed innocent bystanders in danger. The arrest of Mr. Banks as he tried to flee the country was evidence of the FBI and its partners' broad reach, according to A.L. Davis, assistant director of the FBI's Los Angeles field office. Davis clarified that while suspects may go about their life believing they got away with it, the FBI is working hard to piece together the information that would finally bring them to ruin, but they weren't working alone. The Los Angeles Police Department was instrumental in helping them develop the case by coordinating with other federal agencies. When reports emerged, the situation took an unexpected turn. LAPD Chief Dominic Choi, characterized the operation as a multi-state, multi-jurisdictional endeavor that needed several search warrants, forensic investigations, and extensive monitoring. About possible treachery in Durk's inner circle, there are rumors that Jam, an OTF member who was previously serving a 12-year sentence for attempted murder, may have been wired to provide information about the plot while he was posing as friends with dirt footage of him sitting in an interrogation room eating a McDonald's meal. The video has gone viral, igniting online jokes that he snitched on Durk for a Big Mac and fries. The tapping before he even realized what was going on, they had him locked in. The stakes have never been greater, and Durk's world is going completely out of control. The Chicago rap legend was praised for his breakthrough. From the trenches to the top of the game, Durk is now facing the prospect of serving the remainder of his life in prison, but this isn't just one bad incident. This case feels like the culmination of a long brewing tale. The federal government is accusing Durk of conspiring to use interstate facilities. The irony is that the feds aren't playing around. They focused on Durk and his OTF crew, claiming that their ties go beyond music. According to investigators, this isn't just a rap collective, it's an organization linked to street violence, with Durk allegedly calling the shots. To organize the plot and commit firearm violations, which include carrying and firing a machine gun, anyone found guilty faces life in federal prison. The FBI says they've put together a web of evidence, including wiretaps, text messages, and surveillance that directly links Durk to the plot. They say he wasn't just a bystander, but the mastermind organizing everything from hotel rooms to flights to the weapons used in the attack. They are sitting on a cache of evidence, including coded messages that prosecutors say all point to Durk, who allegedly told his associates not to book travel under his name. The feds believe they have a strong case because of any names that could be linked to him, a move they claim proves he knew exactly what he was doing, and the use of OTF funds for flights and ski masks. However, the reality of the south side of Chicago, his early legal troubles set the stage for the difficulties he would encounter as he gained notoriety. In 2011, Durk, who was still making a name for himself in the rap industry, was arrested after police discovered a loaded .4 caliber handgun in his car. According to the story, he attempted to throw the weapon into the car when they arrived, but it was insufficient to avoid being charged with unlawful use of a weapon by a felon. However, Durk's tracks, which at one point sounded like gritty storytelling, now sound eerily prophetic, and the prospect of going to prison hangs over his head. Federal charges don't leave much room for hope, and the seriousness of these allegations has even sparked speculation online, with TikTok users filling timelines with rumors about even though Durk facing the electric chair is illegal. The fact that many think it is demonstrates how serious the situation is. The courtroom showdown is set up by Durk's not guilty plea, but the mountain ahead is steep. His legal team will have to dissect the government's case and all of the evidence in order to persuade a jury that the man who has appeared on award stages and Billboard charts isn't the same person planning violent retaliation. However, this isn't the first time Durk has, although the stakes seem different, the rapper has confronted the system before and has managed to escape each time, appearing stronger and more determined this time. He found himself facing the prospect of prison time. Links in OTFL. Durk's life has always been intricately linked to the streets, and his prior run-ins with the police demonstrate that he has experienced violence and its repercussions long before he became a Grammy-winning rapper and a street voice. Durk was a young guy attempting to make it through the difficult. For many, this would have been a wake-up call, but for Durk, it was just another chapter in his life is linked to the violent background of Chicago. Although his 2011 arrest was not his first run-in with the law, he was stopped in a different incident the same year and found to have consumed alcohol in a car. Inside the car, police found a revolver with a defaced serial number, which is a serious crime. After being charged with aggravated unauthorized use of a firearm and entering a guilty plea, Durk was released from prison in July 2012, but his legal issues didn't stop there. In 2013, he discovered himself returned in handcuffs after Chicago police searched his Orland Park house and purportedly found another loaded gun. As a convicted felon, the case entailed severe penalties, and he was imprisoned for weeks until posting bail during interviews. Although Durk subsequently denied that the pistol was his, the event only served to confirm the narrative that he was unable to completely leave the streets, even as his music career was starting to take off. These episodes were indicative of a survival house-based way of existence. Went to school for Durk, but growing up in the notorious Englewood area meant confronting crime. Backstory: you'll see that his links to the notorious Black Disciples gang, which have taken him from the slums of Chicago to the pinnacles of the rap game, have come back into the spotlight after his latest arrest. Durk was born and raised in the Englewood neighborhood. South Chicago neighborhood. Durk was exposed to violence at a young age. This isn't just any neighborhood, though it's one of the most dangerous in the nation, and joining a gang frequently feels more like a necessity than a choice. By the time he was 17, Durk had already experienced the pressures of adulthood. He became a father while still in high school, and that pressure forced him to pursue his dream of becoming a musician, but with the streets all around him, he had to transition into survival. In high school, Durk found himself torn, almost letting it go. What's OTF? OTF is only with the family, okay? What does it consist of? It was just a lot of hanging out. The feds are being prepared for moves like this and are locking down every angle to keep things legitimate. With the disciples' resources and power, you can't help but wonder if they could actually tip the odds in Durk's favor. The OTF crew's operations and influence have also been raising questions about how their street power could potentially shape Durk's fate. Aren't just any gang, though. They're a Chicago institution with a history steeped in power struggles, alliances, and street politics. For Durk, joining was about protecting himself and his family, and being a part of a larger group that gave him a name and a reputation. But that loyalty had repercussions almost immediately after Durk joined the Black Disciples. His early arrests for gun-related offenses in 2011 and 2013 were linked to a way of life where carrying a weapon wasn't an option. Durk was not alone in this life. His contemporaries, including the late King Valwood, Chief Keef, and Lil Reese, were also street poets who spoke the truth. Unvarnished accounts of the daily hardships they faced, with murder for more serious offenses hanging over him. Von's death in 2020 was a sobering reminder that even as these musicians rose through the ranks, their past were never far behind them. It seems more crucial than ever that Durk is associated with the Black Disciples. Federal prosecutors claim that Durk's gang affiliations go far beyond his music, exposing him as an artist who never really left the streets. They also claim that Durk's OTF team isn't simply put, they are a rap collective, or they are associated with the Black Disciples, one of Chicago's most feared gangs. The Black Disciples are known for their brutality and close ties, and they may have contributed to Durk's case by pressuring witnesses, tampering with evidence, or pulling strings behind the scenes. But let's face it, the system is aware of how these GS operate, and law enforcement isn't. Fundamentally, Durk attempted to portray his group as just another rap collective that emphasized family values, but they are much more than that. The family alone gradually developed into a street organization with roots in bloody turf fights, contract murders, and a reputation for revenge. The Black Disciples, Durk's initial group, influenced his early life, but their history from Chicago to Jamaica demonstrates that they don't simply operate in the background, they inspire dread and respect on the streets. Evidence of OTF's reach and brutality can be seen in events like the Sanford shoot, where members allegedly targeted rapper Jack Boy following a feud with Kodak Black. The attack, which claimed the life of an innocent woman, was a calculated move to solidify power and reputation. The result was more than a dozen arrests, but not before OTF showed that it was ready to escalate conflicts to deadly levels in Jamaica. OTF has also shown its adaptability by aligning with local gangs like the Vietnam Sparta. OTF has been linked to lottery scams, contract assassinations, and the illicit weapons trafficking by the local gang and the large yard gang authorities. Because of their close ties to organized crime, the Joint Anti-Gang Task Force in Jamaica has often discovered caches of firearms and ammunition connected to OTF activities. The 2020 shooting death of Chicago rapper FBG Duck outside a Dolce & Gabbana shop in broad daylight, which left 2 other people hurt and provoked international indignation, was one of the most well-known instances of OTF's effect. Duck's mother, in a subsequent wrongful death case, Lena Weekly, accused Durk, his label, and even well-known brands associated with his image of encouraging a violent lifestyle for financial benefit. According to court documents, King Val, another OTF affiliate, had a personal grudge against FBG Duck. Prosecutors assert that OTF members planned Duck's murder as part of a broader branding campaign to support their reality rap persona, in which violent acts directly contribute to the legitimacy of their music. Durk's arrest places him at the center of a controversy, but OTF's history indicates that they're used to dealing with heat. They've shown the capacity to respond to threats and change results via street-level influence, whether it's frightening witnesses, negotiating the difficulties of court cases, or using local allegiances. OTF's network may have a significant impact on whether Durk gets away with it or gets jailed. OTF functions more like a gang than a record company, using its violent past as a component of its marketing name. Because of this dual nature, the FBI is currently attempting to bring a RICO case against the group. The question is whether its influence can protect Durk from the full force of the federal charges he faces. However, neither money nor gang support can stop the blow jail time that is about to fall on his career and possibly his entire life. Facing the music since his arrest, Lil Durk's career has been rocked, and it seems that his much-awaited album Deep Thoughts may be the most recent victim of his legal issues. The album was initially scheduled to be released on, according to reports, October 18th, has been postponed indefinitely. For an artist of Durk's caliber, this kind of delay is a significant setback in terms of both creativity and finances. Durk was preparing for a massive release with There is no worse time than now. Over the past few years, Durk has risen to the top of the game, going from a Chicago street rapper to a worldwide celebrity. His albums, such as Voice and Almost Healed, have demonstrated his ability to strike a balance between introspection, mainstream appeal, and raw, street-hardened lyrics. fans have been rooting for Durk through past controversies which have caused constant delays and distractions that have affected even the most devoted fans, not to mention the impact on all project producers. Check out with a hunk show snippet that teased heavy-hitting bars and introspective vibes, showcasing Durk once again fusing street tales with personal development. However, the promotional train is currently off the tracks, as the visuals he recently released include one shot in before London's famously large after-building anticipation, then left fans wondering when or if they would see the completed product in the near future. This delay is now being seen as a result of his ongoing legal issues. Artists rely heavily on album sales. A delay results in less momentum, fewer streams, and lost revenue. For Durk, who was winning after nearly all of the songs were healed, and its Grammy-winning single, All My Life, featuring J. Cole, this stall could cost him millions in album sales, merchandise, and tour opportunities. When the lead artist becomes embroiled in the legal drama, everyone from the A and Dr. team to the marketing department feels the strain. What's really crazy is how this ties back to the street life Durk has always rapped about. His rise to fame was built on authenticity, but now that same connection to the streets is threatening to derail everything he's worked for, the very themes that made him famous. Colleagues and even label executives who've invested time and money into deep thoughts are feeling the heat. Millions of people's allegiance, survival, and retaliation are now being played out in real time with disastrous results. Prosecutors will be hunching over Lil Durk's decision to arrange many flights while evading the federal government while under investigation. A private aircraft to Italy and 2 one-way tickets to other locations may have seemed like a means to get ahead of the law, but they have only made his case more heated. This is more than simply a practical step in the eyes of federal prosecutors. This kind of tactic is what makes jurors and judges suspicious, and the prosecution will almost. I'm saying that my grandmother's home is where it all began. His unvarnished lyrics, which depict the difficulties of navigating a society where security, power, and devotion come at a steep cost, have always been a mirror of his life and demonstrate what it means to be a man. I'm suggesting that no one wants to consider why they should leave this place, since the 2011 and 2013 arrests are only serving as reminders that Durk has a history of violence. His upbringing and these early experiences influenced not just the guy but also the artist, which is why his music resonates so strongly, as it is a genuine portrayal of a life that doesn't let go lightly. Given the individuals in his immediate vicinity and his affiliation with the Chicago drill scene, a subculture that originated in the most hazardous areas of the city, Durk's connections to violence are even more pronounced. The family, which has been scrutinized in its own right, Durk's life has always included striking a balance between street music and other obligations. This duality has made him both a popular character in hip-hop and a target for government enforcement. If you know Durk's, likely contend that it was a premeditated effort to evade punishment. They see it as a loud and unambiguous indication of guilt in the courtroom. Fairness: among the most damaging charges under 18 U.S.C. Section 1958, Durk is charged with murder, which is the most severe federal offense. This charge applies to anybody who plans or finances a murder that crosses state or national borders. When the government pursues these charges against Durk, the authorities have an almost unbreakable record in cases like this, and even though Illinois does not utilize the death penalty, the weight of this accusation alone is enough to smash most defendants. They also don't fool around with penalties for murder. For higher instances, they often add life in prison without the possibility of release. Approximately 98% of federal cases result in guilty convictions, many of which are reached via plea agreements. If Durk is found guilty, he could face decades in prison or perhaps death, and those plans that prosecutors aren't assisting would probably use them as proof of a planned and intentional attempt to escape. The ripple effects on Durk's career are not limited to legal jeopardy being felt now. The Broadview key being revoked is a sign of a bigger issue: the possibility of losing public corporate support and goodwill. Brand sponsorships, collaborations, and partnerships depend on a clean image. And with these accusations against him, many people may decide to sever their relationship with the rapper. For an artist who has established a reputation as a street poet and a worldwide celebrity, the harm could be incalculable. But let's not forget that this type of struggle is a common theme in hip-hop, a genre that thrives on authenticity and street credibility. Yet those same qualities often carry baggage from the actual world. As the case progresses, the pressure will only increase. Whether Durk accepts a plea deal to reduce his sentence or takes his chances at trial, the stakes are still extremely high. If convicted, and he could lose. Durk's story was founded on loyalty, grit, and a connection to his roots, but those ties now threaten to bring it all crashing down. The tension between fame and the streets is nothing new, but for Durk, it's playing out on the biggest and most public stage possible. Even if he clears his name, the process itself will undoubtedly inflict long-lasting wounds on his career, reputation, and legacy. He has created everything: music, money, influence, and the freedom to enjoy it all. Whether Durk is able to escape these charges or not, this chapter will permanently change his position in the game and serve as a reminder of hip-hop's complicated relationship with the streets. It's a world that values loyalty and authenticity, but frequently punishes those same values with harsh consequences. Thank you for seeing this video, which serves as a reminder of the expensive price of being honest. If you liked it, click on any of the videos to view more from our channel. Don't forget to press the bell icon, like, and subscribe for more.